Let's move on to another off the top. And this is just a quick one here. But Rob, I don't know if you knew this, but Chris Hemsworth does not only play Thor. He's actually an actor. He does other things. Did you know that? I know.
I didn't know that at all.
I had to double check my sources. When I heard that, because I thought that just can't be true, but it's true. And as a matter of fact, he's got a new movie coming out here pretty soon, but it's on Netflix. It's a new Netflix film that he's doing, and it's called Extraction. And Netflix has just put out their first images of Chris Hemsworth in Extraction, looking his regular badass Chris Hemsworth self. And here's basically it. So Netflix put out on social media, what you need to know about Extraction. It stars Chris Hemsworth. Oh, you need more? Okay. Hemsworth plays Tyler Rake. Oh my God, if that's not the most stereotypical sounding 80s action film kind of name for your character, whatever. Tyler Rake, a black market mercenary. It features the directing debut of Atomic Blonde stunt coordinator Sam Hargrave, who, by the way, also worked on Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. So keep that in mind as well. It arrives on Netflix on April 24th. This year. So in it, we get to see some action there. And by the way, the action in Atomic Blonde was absolutely top notch. It's absolutely incredible. Rob, I got to admit something. When I first read about this story, I realized that I'm not excited for this. And I'm like, why am I not excited? Like, if this was a theatrically released film, I'd be excited. And you would think that with films like The Irishman, and you'd think with excellent films like Marriage Story, you would think that my mind would be over this instant relegation, if you will, of Netflix films of just being lower tier. Now, granted, a lot of the Netflix original films are still, quite frankly, a lot of dreck. There's a lot of garbage out there. But they have clearly, like with Irishman, Marriage Story, and a few others, they've been showing a tendency to be on the upswing of the quality of their films. So when I'm looking at this, I think, okay, if this was coming out theatrically, I know I would be excited. Rob, why do you think there are some people out there, including me, that still have this hurdle to get over in our heads about it being a Netflix film? Because I see it's on Netflix, and quite honestly, I'm not all that interested in it at this point. Why do you think that is for some people like me still?
Well, because I think that their track record has yet to be demonstrated to be a reliable place where you can go. I mean, look, we talked about Six Underground. Michael Bay, great cast. Six Underground, it's Six Underground pretty much after the first 15 minutes. It's not great. And that Ben Affleck movie that they had come out that I was really looking forward to, the action film, and I think it's this particular genre as well. I mean, it's an action. It seems like all of these movies should be great. Here's my problem with these movies. They're great B movies that are masquerading as A-list, and they really should embrace the fact that they're not A-list. I mean, if you're doing an action film for Netflix, everybody's trying to do these prestige movies. And they let us down as prestige films, but then they also don't live up to their B movie. And when I say B movie, I don't mean bad, but like like to me, a perfect B movie is Commando with Schwarzenegger. A movie that's
great example.
a little outlandish. Like he's throwing table saw blades or at people and getting them in the face and stuff like that. You want a heightened reality to it, and Michael Bay did that, but he's also going for this sheen of respectability. And I think with these action movies, you read the plot of this, how he's got to go in. Chris Hemsworth has to go into this like cartel infested town. And I'm like, bring that shit on, son. What I want to see is like another Olympus Has Fallen with that kind of Olympus Has Fallen knew what it was. And to me, it delivered on that promise. And I'm waiting for one of these Netflix prestigious action films with A-list talent, and if you're not an A-list director, you're being backed up by A-list directors like this film is, and I want it to be great, but it's like they're too afraid to embrace. They want this air of respectability, and it's like, but for these movies, you don't need to do that. You need to go over the top a little bit. You got to make them delicious with a creamy filled center that it's just you bite into it and it just fills your mouth with wonder, and we're not getting that.
To your point, though, I mean, the fact that they're making his directorial debut, and hey, a smaller action film on something like Netflix is a great first film for a first-time director. But we've got a director making a directorial debut who was the action coordinator on a movie like Atomic Blonde. Like, does that give you a little bit, like you're talking about, really embrace that over-the-topness? Does that maybe suggest we could be getting a little bit of that over-the-topness you're looking for?
No, absolutely. And when I say over the top, I still want my verisimilitude, but it's got to have those moments where if you were in a theater, the audience would be like, yes, and they would all say that out loud. There's got to be that element of I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's something that it needs a little bit more canon films, like what Cannon would do in the 80s with American Ninja or Delta Force, and those movies weren't great. What I'm saying is these movies are better than that, but there's still got to be an element of like dudes with swords taking out a bunch of other dudes in the face. It's got to be like that. And I want to see more of it, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. So the question here is, guys, how are you feeling about this thing? First of all, I think the images coming out for Extraction look pretty badass. They look good. I like who they're bringing in as a first-time director. That's kind of neat. Are you guys facing the same kind of mental hurdle I am, that I'm still having a hard time, like, really taking a Netflix original seriously? Maybe unless it's a pure drama. I don't know. Maybe it was the Six Underground thing that kind of spoiled me a little bit. How are you guys feeling about it? Are you excited about it? Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right.